now that I have described what viruses are,
you got it the wrong way.
thing that makes you sick that may not be a living thing, that gene splices your DNA and makes your DNA make pieces of it instead of pieces of you, I am now going to talk about what coronaviruses are. You've probably had a coronavirus, not only once in your life, but many times. Coronaviruses are what causes the common cold. What's unique about the coronavirus from Wuhan, China, that's killing people, not only in China, but all around the world now, is that there are proteins on the surface of the virus from Ebola and AIDS. It is almost 100% impossible that these proteins just happened to evolve on the surface of this virus on their own. The fact that it's got proteins from Ebola and AIDS on its surface, two of the most deadly viruses in the world, should be good enough circumstantial evidence to prove that it was created in a biological weapons laboratory. However, there's plenty of other evidence that it was. Please stop running that drill. I'm trying to record a video.
That's cool.
And this is why it's going to be really hard to contain coronavirus or to find a cure for coronavirus or create a vaccine for coronavirus. Have you ever heard anybody say that they wished that somebody would find the cure for the common cold? And you may know that there's also not a vaccine for AIDS. There might be a vaccine for Ebola by now. I'm not sure, but Ebola is a disease that's deadly and basically not treatable if you get it. AIDS is a disease that's treatable, kind of, but the medications that treat it can kill you. You can still die from it if you're taking those medications, and it is basically not curable. So it seems to me like these mad scientists were trying to make a disease that was really, really deadly and would spread really easily, and that's why they put the Ebola and AIDS proteins onto the surface of the coronavirus. I think that China needs to admit to what they did, take responsibility for their actions, and the scientists that created this coronavirus should be prosecuted for a crime, like mass murder. They should be punished as though they are like Hitler. People, I have some unfortunate updates. It turns out that I was right about several of my horrible predictions. This is breaking news. Northern Italy quarantines 16 million people who may have or have been exposed to coronavirus. And not only that, this, hang on a second while I scroll up, could happen in America very soon. Because the reason that they're doing this is, as this article said, it spread undetected for weeks in Italy before people started not only getting sick, but dropping dead in mass, apparently. Anyway, don't be surprised if you wake up on Monday morning and find out that your children aren't going to be able to go to school, or you're not going to be able to go to work, or even that you might not be able to leave your town or even your own house. People, I warned you that this could happen. Last night, I was up kind of late because I was taking care of my cat's sickly kittens. And
like my golden drill bit?
While I was up taking care of my cat's sickly kittens, I was reading articles about the coronavirus and how it was most likely genetically engineered in a biological weapons laboratory in Wuhan, China.
It won't cut you, bud.
I actually know a lot about viruses, and one of the reasons that I know a lot about viruses is that the reason that I have difficulty breeding cats, and my cats that I'm breeding sometimes have stillborn or weak kittens is because my cats are all infected with something called feline herpes virus. So since this thing is a virus, it's made several of my cats very sick and causes several of my cats to need extra care. I have researched a lot about viruses and what they are. So I'd like to talk about what viruses are and what the coronavirus in particular is in this video.
There's one virus who does do nothing. It's called a friendly virus. It doesn't do nothing to you.
There are viruses that actually don't hurt you, and some that possibly might even be beneficial to the human body. All of us are infected with viruses right now and bacteria. Every single human on the planet is currently infected with some kind of virus. This lump on my hand here might be a wart.
It's called a different virus.
And warts are caused by a virus.
But it goes into you and it does nothing. But it kills other viruses in you who are bad.
That's true. There are viruses that kill other viruses.
Yeah.
All of these things are true.
That is cool. I mean, totally.
Yes, it is.
You're just telling you to find that virus who's nice to you.
Maybe we could find a virus that doesn't hurt people but infects the coronavirus. There are viruses that infect other viruses.
Yeah?
Viruses might not actually be a living thing because viruses don't actually meet the scientific definition of being a living thing, because all living things, including microorganisms like bacteria, reproduce on their own. And what they reproduce on their own is their own DNA. The DNA inside of a single-celled organism like a bacteria divides the same way as the DNA inside a cell in your body or a cell in any other living thing. It makes an exact copy of itself, and then the cell divides. But viruses reproduce in a different way. Viruses are actually strands of DNA or RNA. And when they go into your cell, the separate pieces break apart.
And what could this do?
And they connect to your DNA or RNA and cause your DNA or RNA to make viral proteins instead of human proteins. When your cell has made those proteins, they then join back together.
They join back together.
And they become a new copy of the virus. Because viruses reproduce by breaking apart into completely separate pieces and gene splicing your DNA or the DNA of another living organism and tricking it into producing new pieces that then join back together. They don't technically meet the definition of life because their DNA does not reproduce on its own. So viruses may not technically be alive. Now that I have described what viruses are, thing that makes you sick that may not be a living thing, that gene splices your DNA and makes your DNA make pieces of it instead of pieces of you, I am now going to talk about what coronaviruses are. You've probably had a coronavirus not only once in your life, but many times. Coronaviruses are what causes the common cold. What's unique about the coronavirus from Wuhan, China, that's killing people, not only in China, but all around the world now, is that there are proteins on the surface of the virus from Ebola and AIDS. It is almost 100% impossible that these proteins just happened to evolve on the surface of this virus on their own. The fact that it's got proteins from Ebola and AIDS on its surface, two of the most deadly viruses in the world, should be good enough circumstantial evidence to prove that it was created in a biological weapons laboratory. However, there's plenty of other evidence that it was. Please stop running that drill. I'm trying to record a video.
That's cool.
And this is why it's going to be really hard to contain coronavirus or to find a cure for coronavirus or create a vaccine for coronavirus. Have you ever heard anybody say that they wished that somebody would find the cure for the common cold? Or if somebody could just find the cure for the common cold, they would like win the Nobel Prize, or it would be like the best thing anyone ever invented. That's because it's really hard to find a cure for the common cold. The reason that they can't find a cure for the common cold is because of the particular way that coronaviruses scramble your DNA when they're gene splicing it and causing it to make viral proteins instead of human proteins. And all coronaviruses mutate really quickly. This is why even if you've had the common cold before, you can catch it again, sometimes even a few days later. And you may know that there's also not a vaccine for AIDS. There might be a vaccine for Ebola by now. I'm not sure, but Ebola is a disease that's deadly and basically not treatable if you get it. AIDS is a disease that's treatable, kind of, but the medications that treat it can kill you. You can still die from it if you're taking those medications, and it is basically not curable. So it seems to me like these mad scientists were trying to make a disease that was really, really deadly and would spread really easily, and that's why they put the Ebola and AIDS proteins onto the surface of the coronavirus, because something about those proteins give Ebola and AIDS the ability to infect you and trick your immune system into not realizing that you're infected until it's too late. And the way that people sometimes died of Ebola is similar to the way that people are dying of the coronavirus. When their body does recognize it's there and attacks the virus, the body's own reaction is what kills the person. And in my opinion, since the coronavirus has been reported to be more deadly to men than women and has been reported to be more deadly in adults than children, and has possibly been reported to be more deadly in Europeans than in people of other races, because Italy seems to have a much higher death rate from coronavirus than even China. It seems like it was something that the Chinese government created to be able to kill an invading army, because they thought they were most likely to be invaded by a European army. The army was most likely to be mostly men, and the army was most likely to be mostly adults of a certain age or older. So this really scares me, because I'm part Italian, and a lot of my relatives are either part Italian or possibly full-blooded Italian. I don't know any of my distant enough relatives to know a distant relative that is full-blooded Italian, but I'm sure that I do have one, because my mother is half Italian and my grandfather was full-blooded Italian. Anyway, people, I'm really concerned that being even part Italian could make me more susceptible to getting sick or dying from the coronavirus. I found out one of my relatives was at a casino in a very large city where people travel to from around the world to go gambling, and gambling in the casino a few hours ago. And I basically had a panic attack because I was concerned about the safety of that relative. That seems about as dangerous to me as going to like a major airport or something right now. And I'm pretty sure this particular casino still uses like physical chips that people like handle. And some casinos now have some kind of like digitalized gambling, but this one still does it like the old-fashioned way. I'm sorry, people, I don't almost ever go to casinos. I've been to the Blue Lake Casino like twice in the last year, but it was like because of some kind of emergency, not to gamble. So I don't know like how they do it at most casinos. Maybe you could let me know in the comments section of this video. However, I'm very concerned about relatives
One of my
in...
chickens got her toe like halfway chopped off.
What? Oh no, was she attacked by something?
I think she needs a Band-Aid.
A Band-Aid on a
Yeah.
chicken. Okay, you're flashlighting me right in the eye. I have to stop recording this video to deal with yet another emergency. People, we've had a problem with skunks spraying under my house and attacking my chickens. One of my cats got outside a few days ago. It was Spot, and when I tried to pick him up to bring him back inside, he mauled my hand severely. So look at my arm and how mauled it is. See that? It's pretty bad up here on my arm, but he also mauled my hand and he bit my finger.
Can I see? Oh!
Yeah, it looks bad.
Yep, that
doesn't
is
it?
bad. But
Anyway,
on
he
the bright
apparently
side.
got into some kind of a cat fight with some skunks.
cat fight with some skunks. Holy God, that isn't good.
No, it's not good. That's why it smells kind of bad inside our house. Yes, there is something on your shirt.
Yeah,
I guess it's gone now.
because-
Anyway, they sprayed like directly under our bedrooms, causing it to like reek up my whole house
What?
of skunk spray.
That makes me throw up.
Yeah, we basically had
Yeah,
to
but it's
go
okay.
outside
No.
for a few hours. I know my jacket's falling, it's okay. So for the last few days, because it smelled kind of skunky in my house and it's taken the smell a few days to dissipate, I've woken up feeling a little bit congested. And today, while I was out shopping, I decided to go to a coffee house that I go to occasionally and get a cup of hot tea and a cup of soup that's like a broth soup. Anyway, this coffee house also has hot tubs and saunas. So while I was sitting there drinking my tea, I noticed something. Almost everybody coming in for a hot tub and a sauna, or people coming in to see if they had any hot tub and sauna reservations available anytime soon who hadn't made reservations in advance, was sick. Every single one of these people was like sniffling, wheezing, some were red in the face, and there were several people that may possibly be homeless that are like always in that coffee house like all the time, just like sitting in there. And there was a guy that I tried to not get his face on camera, but then he ended up like walking and biking right in front of me when I was taking a video clip of the outside of the coffee house, who was just like bright red in the face, sniffling, wheezing, barely able to talk, and he was like slowly sipping a cup of tea while spitting and blowing his nose into like a pile of tissues that was like on the table in front of him. I realized that it's common, not only here, but possibly in some other places, for people to go to public saunas or public hot tubs when they're sick.
It's a big thing for Asians.
And it's common for people to go to coffee houses and get a cup of tea, or go to a restaurant and get a warm bowl of soup if they're sick. So somebody infected with coronavirus could like make tons of people sick just by going to a place like the coffee house I went to today. So here is my footage of the coffee house where I hopefully didn't catch coronavirus or any other kind of cold.
Oh.
I just went into this coffee house and I had a bowl of warm soup and a cup of warm tea. now that I've shown you that video footage, I would like to say something else. I am like chronically congested because I live in a house that may still have mold in it. My bedroom is the only room that we haven't ripped out and replaced the subfloor or most of the drywall in. And not only that, Humboldt County is really moist. It's foggy all the time. It rains frequently. The humidity level alone causes a lot of people to be congested. I also smoke marijuana and tobacco, which I know is really bad. I haven't smoked tobacco for my whole life, though. I actually only started smoking it a few years ago. We started smoking tobacco actually during a time period where we had almost no marijuana, but a lot of hash and a big bag of tobacco, and that's when we started smoking spliffs. But we don't smoke tobacco and cigarettes, so I guess that's good. But I'm like constantly congested all the time. The last time I got a cold, I didn't even know I had a cold until my friend who had been over here a few days before came back over and he had a cold. Then I realized that the slightly more than normal coughing and congestion that I had had for the last few days had actually been a cold that I had caught from our friend, probably when smoking marijuana with him, because that's what people do in Humboldt County, California. If you smoke marijuana and your friend smokes marijuana and your friend comes over to visit, you smoke some marijuana with them. That is a normal behavior here and in a lot of other places. Anyway, I realized that I had been sick from a cold for the last few days, but I might not have even known that that was caused by a cold and not just like allergies from mold in my house or smoking. Sometimes marijuana here is moldy, and when you get some marijuana, even if it looks good and smells good, or even if it's from a dispensary where it's been tested for mold, it will still unfortunately have mold in it and make you cough and wheeze and basically have symptoms that could be caused by a cold or a flu. So I might have been sick several times from colds and not even known that I had a cold. And people here aren't really like careful about going out of their way to not give other people colds. I've even seen people say things like, "You shouldn't pass me the joint because I have a cold." And then seen people respond by saying, "I don't care if I catch your cold," or "That's okay, I already have a cold too," or "Who cares if I get a cold? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." That is like normal around here because like when everyone's smoking and everyone's coughing and everybody's wheezing because of the moisture in the air or the mold in their houses, and it's a common practice for people to like smoke marijuana with each other anyway, at that point it's almost like rude to say, "Oh no, you're coughing. You might have a cold. You might have cooties." So people don't generally do that here unless somebody's like really sick. People often are not going to be afraid to smoke marijuana with them or be in the same room with them. So I went shopping today and I tried to buy a little bit of extra food. I went to the veterinarian's office and got Marley and Francella's expensive prescription cans so I wouldn't run out of their food for at least a few days. This stuff is so expensive that I have to buy it every few days. And that would be one thing that's really difficult to stock up on. I did put one of these varieties, this one, the more expensive one, on my Amazon wish list. I was hoping somebody might possibly order it for Marley. So if we do end up getting quarantined here for weeks or longer, he won't run out of his prescription food, because when he runs out of his prescription food, he basically starts to pee all over everything and could possibly get a bladder blockage. And I guess if we're quarantined here, we wouldn't be able to take my cats to the vet. Honestly, I'm slightly more concerned about what might happen to us if we got quarantined here than what might happen to us if we got the coronavirus. I'm pretty sure I would probably be okay if I got the coronavirus. I might have an increased risk of having complications because I have an irregular heartbeat and I'm part Italian, as I said before, and I smoke and have been exposed to mold and may have been exposed to other things that may have weakened my lungs, like the dust from 9/11. I breathed in the dust from 9/11 when the Twin Towers fell. From Sandy Hook, New Jersey, not New York City, but still, it was enough to make me sick for quite some time. That could have weakened my lungs. I've been to pulmonologists actually to make sure my lungs are okay because of these things, and they said my lungs were okay, and the reason that I have a hard time breathing is most likely caused by a heart condition. The cardiologist who did the expensive test on my heart didn't miraculously detect the heart murmur that every single other doctor and nurse who's taken my pulse has noticed for my entire life. And he sent me a huge bill that wasn't covered by my insurance that I haven't paid and has probably by now been sent to a debt collector who I probably will never pay either. So I guess because of the possibility that my heart and lungs might not be in like the best condition, I should be a little concerned about like complications from coronavirus if we did catch it. But I'm really more concerned about what would happen if we were like not allowed to leave my house. Like, would they even let me go outside to take cat litter to the trash pail? Would they let me go outside to feed the cats that live in my yard, which now includes not only stray cats, but one of my own cats who's gotten loose? Would we have to be like inside this house and not even out in the yard? Or does quarantined on your property mean like you are allowed in your yard? Our refrigerator's like in our RV and we have to like go outside of our house to get to it. These are questions I need to know the answers to. And we don't have like normal jobs we go to every day. But my boyfriend works like odd jobs for people when we need money. So what if we are quarantined in here, can't leave, and are out of something and don't have money to buy it? And if people do have jobs, are like they getting paid if they have to stay home from work for weeks? What's gonna happen if they don't have like weeks of money saved up? Like they're living paycheck to paycheck and they need to like pay their water bill or pay their mortgage. Like in my opinion, nobody who's quarantined should have to pay their water bill or have to pay their mortgage if they're not getting their salary or they can't go to work at whatever odd jobs they might go to work at, like my boyfriend does. I don't understand how people are supposed to live when they can't go to work and make money because they can't leave their house. Just the fact that they're quarantining people alone could potentially shut down like the entire planet's economy. I think that China needs to like admit to what they did, take responsibility for their actions, and the scientists that created this coronavirus should be like prosecuted for a crime, like mass murder. Like they should be punished as though they are like Hitler. Anyone in the Chinese government who had any part in this coronavirus being created or being released, which was probably accidentally, although some conspiracy theorists think they did it on purpose to shut down the protests in Hong Kong. I don't think so. I think they accidentally released it. And they didn't release it on purpose. But anyone who was involved in the making or releasing of this thing should be put on trial and treated as though they are Hitler. You don't know how many people in the world this thing is going to kill. It could mutate and become way more dangerous and way more deadly. It could turn out that it's like targeted against a certain race and it could kill like everybody in a certain country or everybody in a certain race. We don't know yet. We can only assume the worst. Case scenario is a possibility. So there needs to be an international investigation. China needs to admit everything they did right now. Other scientists around the world need to know exactly how they gene spliced this virus and exactly what they did to it and what their ultimate purpose was. Like, were they trying to target people of a certain age or a certain race? Would be one of the most important questions to be answered. And the world needs to know right now, before it's too late. So scientists can have some amount of time to develop a cure or a vaccine or anything that would help. Without information about what China did to this thing, it will be more difficult to find a treatment, prevention, or cure. So with that said, I am now going to end this video. Please like this video, share this video immediately because it is urgent. Watch my other videos and subscribe to my channel. And if you would like to help me out in any way, I would really appreciate it. You can help me out by donating money to me on Patreon or other sites, and also by buying things for me from my Amazon wish list. Bye, people. People, I have some unfortunate updates. It turns out that I was right about several of my horrible predictions. This is breaking news. Northern Italy quarantines 16 million people who may have or have been exposed to coronavirus. And not only that, they're saying that it's possibly too late because the virus has been circulating in Italy for weeks, undetected. See that? They're also shutting down all weddings and funerals, all religious and cultural events, cinemas, nightclubs, gyms, swimming pools, museums, and ski resorts. And they're allowing restaurants to stay open, but customers must sit at least 1 meter or 3 feet apart from each other. See that? And in other news, from here in America, the mayor of San Jose has called for a moratorium on evictions during the coronavirus outbreak, which makes sense because I said earlier, what if people can't pay their rents or their mortgages? And in other news, that's deeply disturbing to me because of my relative deciding to go gambling at the casino in a large city earlier today. People with coronavirus have been found in 2 casinos, one in Oregon and one in Nevada. Luckily, neither of these people were in the city that my relative decided to go gambling at a casino in. Anyway, I just wanted to give you those 3 updates that basically proved what I said in this video and my other videos about coronavirus. And I just wanted to tell you one more thing. This, hang on a second while I scroll up, could happen in America very soon. Because the reason that they're doing this is, as this article said, it spread undetected for weeks in Italy before people started not only getting sick, but like dropping dead in mass apparently. Anyway, don't be surprised if you wake up on Monday morning and find out that your children aren't going to be able to go to school, or you're not going to be able to go to work, or even that you might not be able to leave your town or even your own house. People, I warned you that this could happen. It seems that my videos did not get many views, so I would like to ask you to please like this video, share this video, my other videos about coronavirus, and my other videos about more pleasant topics. Watch my other videos and subscribe to my channel. And please donate money to me on Patreon or other sites. And please, now that it seems that this is imminently about to happen in the USA as well, please help me by ordering some of the things I have put on my Amazon wish list. There's like cat food, human food, and for the most part, other than some cat cages that I put on my list so I could separate my cats I'm breeding, there's like nothing fancy or nothing special that we want, only things that like we really need. Anyway, bye people. And I would like to say one more thing. After doing my ending a second time, I'm sorry to break horrible news like this to you. I would much rather break wonderful news. You can watch other videos I've made where I did break wonderful news. And if you want to cheer somebody up who's, suffering because they're locked up in their home and can't leave because they're quarantined because they may have been exposed to coronavirus, cheer them up by sending them one of my more positive videos where I talk about more positive news or do something cool or something. Bye, people.